Hi guys, today we're going to read from a book called Focus. It's by Daniel Goleman, a bestseller of emotional intelligence. Multi-levels. Chapter 2. Basics. As a teenager, I got into the habit of listening to the string quartets of Bela Bartok, which I found slightly cacophonous, but still enjoyed while doing my homework. Somehow tuning out to those discordant tones helped me focus on, say, chemical equation for ammonium hydroxide. Years later, when I found myself writing articles on the deadline for the New York Times, I remember that early drill in ignoring Bartok. At the time, I labored away in the midst of the science desk, in which those years occupied a classroom-sized cavern, in which were crammed desks for the dozen or so science journalists and a half a dozen editors. There was always a Bartokish hum of cacophony. Nearby there might be 3 or 4 people chatting. You'd overhear the near end of a phone conversation or several, as reporters interviewed sources. Editors shouted across the room to ask when an article would be ready for them. They were rarely, if ever, the sounds of silence. Yet we science writers, myself among them, would reliably deliver our ready-to-edit copy right on time day after day. No one ever pleaded, "Everyone please be quiet," so we could concentrate. We all just redoubled our focus, tuning out the roar. That focus in the midst of a din indicates selective attention. The neural capacity to beam in on just one target while ignoring a staggering sea of incoming stimuli, each one a potential focus in itself. This is what William James, the founder of modern psychology, meant when he defined attention as the sudden taking possession by the mind in clear and vivid form of what seems several simultaneous possible objects or trains of thought. There are 2 main varieties of distractions, sensory and emotional. The sensory distractors are easy. As you read these words, you're tuning out of the blank margins surrounding this text. Or notice for a moment the feeling of your tongue against your upper palate. Just one of an endless wave of incoming stimuli your brain weeds out from the continuous wash of background sounds, shapes, colors, tastes, smells, and sensations, and on and on. More daunting, the second variety of lures, emotionally loaded signals. While you might find it easy to concentrate on answering your email in the hubbub of your local coffee shop, if you overhear someone mention your name, potent emotional bait that. It's almost impossible to tune out the voice that carries it. Your attention reflexively alerts to what's being said about you. Forget that email. Our biggest challenge, or even the most focus, though, comes from the emotional turmoil of our lives. Pick a recent blow-up in a close relationship that keeps intruding into your thoughts. Such thoughts barge in for good reason, to get us to think through what to do about what's upsetting us. The dividing line between fruitless rumination and productive reflection lies in whether or not we come up with some tentative solution or insight, and then let those distressing thoughts go. Or if, on the other hand, we keep obsessing over the same loop of worry. The more our focus gets disrupted, the worse we do. For instance, a test of how much college athletes are prone to having their concentration disrupted by anxiety correlates significantly with how well or poorly they will perform in the upcoming season. The ability to stay on one target and ignore everything else operates in the brain's prefrontal regions. Specialized circuitry in this area boosts the strength of incoming signals we want to concentrate on, that email, and dampens down those we choose to ignore, with people chattering away at the next table. Since focus demands we tune out our emotional distractions, our neural wiring for selective attention includes that for inhibiting emotion. It means those who focus are relatively immune to emotional turbulence, more able to stay unflappable in a crisis and keep on an even keel despite life's emotional waves. Failure to drop one focus and move on to others can, for example, leave the mind lost in repeating loops of chronic anxiety. At clinical extremes, it means being lost in hopelessness, self-pity, and depression, or panic and catastrophizing in anxiety orders or countless repetitions of ritualistic thoughts or acts. The touch the door 50 times before leaving, an obsessive-compulsive disorder. The power to disengage our attention from one thing and move it to another is essential for well-being. The stronger our selective attention, the more powerfully we can stay absorbed in what we've chosen to do, get swept away by a moving scene in a film, or find a powerful poetry passage exhilarating. Strong focus lets people lose themselves in YouTube or their homework to the point of being oblivious to whatever tumult might be nearby, or their parents calling them to eat dinner. You can spot the focused folks at a party. They are able to immerse themselves in a conversation, their eyes locked on the other person as they stay fully absorbed in their words, despite that speaker next to them blaring the Beastie Boys. The unfocused, in contrast, are in continual play, their eyes gravitating to whatever might grab them, their attention drift. Richard Davison, a neuroscientist at the University of Wisconsin, names focus as one of a handful of essential life abilities, each based in a separate neural system that guides us through the turbulence of our inner lives, our relationships, and whatever challenges life brings. During sharp focus, Davidson finds, key circuitry in the prefrontal cortex gets into a synchronized state with the object of that beam of awareness, a state he calls phase locking. People are focused on pressing a button each time they hear a certain tone. The electrical signals in their prefrontal area fire precisely in sync with the target sound. The better you focus, the stronger your neural lock-in. But instead of concentration, there's a jumble of thoughts. Synchrony vanishes. Just a drop in synchrony marks people with attention deficit disorder. We learn best with focused attention. As we focus on what we are learning, the brain maps that information on what we already know, making new neural connections. If you and a small toddler share attention towards something as you name it, the toddler learns that name. If your focus wanders away as you say it, she won't. When our mind wanders off, our brain activates a host of brain circuits that chatter about things that have nothing to do with what we are trying to learn. Lacking focus, we store no crisp memory of what we are learning.